This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pointy Bakery. If you're located in the Pointy area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pointy Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right, so we are recording this on a Thursday after Jiu-Jitsu because I totally forgot to say that I was going to Ottawa this weekend, but we didn't want to delay the Dune podcast because it was such a sick movie. Actually, before we even jump into Dune, I just wanted to say that I want to ask you, did you see the thing about Meta? Facebook calling
Yeah, I heard. I knew about
the switch.
I knew that Facebook was thinking of changing their name. I didn't know what the name was.
Oh, yeah, no one did. But like, it dropped today with the Meta.
Yeah, I see what they're trying to do.
But it's very odd. Did you watch the video or no?
No, I didn't watch the video.
Oh, okay, I didn't watch the video either. But
no, like before the name reveal, I heard that Facebook is having a hard time getting young people to use their.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been on decline for.
Yeah, it is like they're having a hard time getting younger people because the younger people are not. You know, it's like it's a lot of their parents that are on Facebook, right? So it's more like
for like adults.
Yeah, so like TikTok is the younger generation thing right now.
So, what are they trying to do? They're trying to like get the next generation with.
Yeah, I think that like the name change and with there's a lot of.
I saw
there's
like
a lot
virtual
of
world or something like that.
Sorry?
It's like a virtual world.
Oh, I have no idea what they're doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're doing
okay.
They're focusing on like a world.
Yeah, like Facebook isn't the same Facebook that we grew up with, right? They have like so many different things that they're doing,
like, or add-ons.
Yeah. So it's not like that's probably part of the reason. Like they did a name change, the same way like Google had there's a name change for Google as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Alphabet. That's the parent company now.
Oh, but like,
but because they do so many different things.
Facebook.
Yeah, like the Facebook portion is called Facebook, right?
Oh,
I think that's probably what's happening here, where it's like more like a parent company.
Wait, so they're not switching. It's like if I update the app, it's not going to be called.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen their presentation. That's what my thought was. It was more like a.
So we're just talking about like we're just guessing off.
I think we're guessing now because I'm thinking of I guess I'm comparing it to Google and Google's changed to Alphabet.
But that's more of like a corporation thing. It's not really.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I think Facebook as a corporation.
Oh, so there's nothing really.
I would think that's why it's changing name.
I thought it was like it's shifting like its whole branding towards Meta. All right, we'll look into it. We'll talk about it next time.
I think it just came out. It's hot news that I don't know. I don't know much about either. So
yeah, okay. I just thought it was kind of weird. I was like, that's some weird marketing strategy. I thought they were switching their full branding to Meta.
It might be true. I don't know. I'm just
if they're just comparing the parent company, it's like, okay, that's fine, whatever. But if they're like changing everything to like from Facebook to Meta, it's like, well, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and it's kind of I see where they're getting the name from.
Yeah, but it's like
I don't
metadata. Like you're trying to say that we're all like information for you. Like I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a very poor marketing decision, but I mean, I'm not in the marketing.
Or isn't there like a phrase where like, oh, that's meta?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but that means like bigger. That it's like you're thinking about it too much. Like it's like you're thinking.
Yeah, but I think that's like if I'm correct with the parent company thing, then it's more like
right. But
makes sense.
When I saw Meta, I was like metadata, like how you're collecting our information because that's what you're known for.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So it's like
that's not a good name then.
No, it's not. It's not. Although at the same time, I mean,
maybe they're just a double entendre here. Like I get the meaning they want to.
Oh right. They're trying to be clever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have no idea
or like,
what this is about.
Or Zuckerberg's trying to be like Elon Musk and troll everyone. You know what I mean? Like how you call it BFR. He's like, okay, we'll call it meta because we're taking your metadata. You know, like he's trying to be like a...
Yeah, but he's a weirdo, though. He just, I don't know.
He just look like a little weirdo.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a really nice guy, though.
I'm sure.
Super nice guy. All right, we're going to jump back into Dune. That just came up, so I was like, okay, let's just quickly get that out of the way. I wanted to see if you knew anything about it. You don't. Neither do I. I just thought it was kind of weird. Okay, so Dune... It's funny because, like, after the movie, like at first I was like, okay, we'll just do a quick podcast, like 30 minutes. But then after watching the movie, that's why I skipped the advanced class today, because I was like, we are probably going to talk, like there's a lot to talk about in this. So I think the first thing was, let's talk about like a movie before we get into the philosophy of Dune. Sure. So as a movie, what did you think about it?
I really liked it.
Like
but
visually
the music, just the start of it really got me right into the
like
world.
Epic.
Yeah, it was more like you can feel like this is a bigger story.
It was very meta. I'm kidding. Right.
It's just that you're jumping into something that's already a big world.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I felt that too. It was almost like too big for me.
Yeah, no, because it feels like we're just getting a snippet of it, but there's so many questions. We'll get more into it, but it's like how is this, like,
how is society run?
Yeah, how is this working? And it's like
you're like a prince. Okay, so what does this mean?
Right. So like, let's get into a little bit. I guess it's like you got the two houses, but then they're all together, joined by an empire.
Yeah. So it's sort of like states. And the United States.
Right. But it's, I see, that's the thing. Like, I don't,
or kingdoms.
I wouldn't say that, but more like,
different kingdoms.
Yeah.
Okay. And
different
then you
kingdoms.
have like a sovereign kingdom.
Or like a unibody that everybody kind of works.
Yeah. Or so like
agrees to work with. Like the UN. Yeah. Okay. Kind of like that, but the UN has more power.
Or like the World Bank.
Sure.
And the world.
Right.
Okay, well, let's go with that.
Yeah, someone that has actual full-on more power than everybody else.
Right.
But that's who's controlling everything and who's telling what to do.
Yep.
But we don't know who they are.
Yeah, we've never been introduced to them. We've never seen them. We've heard about them. Mm-hmm. The way I described it after the movie was, it's like if we watched like one of the middle episodes of Game of Thrones and we're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
We don't know any of the characters.
Right.
It's just like season 5, just pick an episode and then you're so lost, you know? And you have to catch up.
Yeah.
Usually what movies do in that case is like they have the one character that doesn't know anything and then you are that character, you know? So like, for example, The Matrix. Okay. So there's this huge world and you're playing as Neo. So you're like, okay, I'm learning about the Matrix at the same time as you're learning about the Matrix.
Right. Yeah.
And they did have that with the Prince because he was learning about Arrakis, but
that was just learning about a planet. But he was
already integrated in his own world.
Exactly. But only thing is what we're getting is from his perspective is like the dreams and things like that only he's experiencing.
Right.
So we're being already put into the middle of this where it's like, okay, what are
these dreams?
What are these
Why
dreams?
Are you having these dreams?
Yeah. So
totally.
in that way, we're in that, but it's not introducing us to the world. It's already put us in the world.
The storyline. Into the storyline and not the world. Yeah. So it laid no backstory for you to like ground yourself in. Yeah. You're kind of just like, it kind of felt like you were just like catching up the entire time. It's like, I got to rewatch this. I got to rewatch this and I got to read a bunch of like lore about it. And
and that's exactly what happened to me after, as soon as I watched it, I was like, I wanted to know more about this thing and how does, what is all this about? And who are the Jesuits? I don't know their full name.
Yeah.
But anyways, the witches or the sisters.
That's sort of like all fantasy, like Witcher, they have that same thing where it's like a whole world has been built and you want to learn more about them. Or like, you know, it's like a living world, you know, and that it was good in some sense, but also like, I don't know, like as a movie, we're not talking about the philosophy yet.
Sure.
So like as a movie, that kind of threw me off because I was like, I was running the entire movie.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I was trying to catch up.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe I think the thing is, I've seen the original movie, so I had an idea.
Context, yeah,
I had a context already going into this, so that's why I wanted to see from, because you're it's totally new for you. You've never seen this story before.
Yeah, no.
And I've seen the story before, so it's more like I really like what I'm saying, right? Because I know what's going on.
Even the iconic worm, you know, the worms in the sand island. I was like, I thought that was a major part of the storyline because it's like iconic to Dune. Like you see when you see Dune, you think about the worm.
Yeah.
Right? But like that's not even at all what it's about. That worm is just like the monster that nobody can kill.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like thinking about King Arthur and like instead of the knights you think about the dragon, but it's like the dragon had nothing to do with the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that, and that also threw me off because I was like, so this worm has nothing really to do with the storyline. It's more about like the kingdoms.
Yeah.
Like I thought they were trying to kill the worm. Something like the worm holds the diamond, or you know, like in typical
right.
You know, storylines.
Yeah.
But it's like the worm is just like
did they
obstacle.
go? Is the spice created by the worm?
No. Literally, the worm is just an obstacle that's annoying. That's it.
Right.
So, like, it had nothing to do. It's just like, so I don't know why I was so iconic.
Right.
You know, but that's what you think of when you think of Dune. But again, it had nothing to do. It wasn't like a pivotal point of the story.
No.
Yeah. But okay, so
it was just more. It's true. They're not part of the story, but they're part of the. It's just part of that planet kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a creature.
I guess it's iconic to that planet.
Yeah.
Right. So basically what the story is about is there's these kingdoms, and then this one kingdom that was managing Arrakis. And in Arrakis, you have the resource that allows you to travel through space. Right?
Yeah.
Think of it like
do space travel.
To do space travel. Think of it like oil.
Yeah.
Right? So we need oil for cars and like to run just like a myriad of things in our lives. And that's basically what spice is. Right? So they go to Arrakis, aka Iraq, to get the resource, aka oil, aka spice. And that's what's like fueling this entire galactic empire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then the one that's managing Arrakis right now is leaving, and then the people of the kingdom, like the one that's managing the global empire, they bring another kingdom in to manage that.
Yeah.
So it's basically a switching of powers.
Yeah.
So it's like, think of like Russia used to control Afghanistan, and then USA went into Afghanistan. It's similar, right?
Yeah.
And then you find out later that it was actually a big ploy by the Galactic Empire to kill off this really powerful race of people.
Atreides.
Yeah, right. So like, let's think of like America. So Russia is in Afghanistan. Russia leaves. America comes in, but that was just a ploy to get rid of America.
To make their America waste so much money.
Yeah,
and make them weaker.
Yeah. Cool. So that is basically the setting. And then the prince takes over his father's place because of like the coup. So his father dies. And then the prince goes to the Fremen, which are like the Iraqis of Arrakis, like, or the Afghanistan, like in my analogy.
Right. Yeah. Right. The locals.
The locals. Yeah. He goes to the locals to become their leader in order to go up against the Galactic Empire.
Yeah.
Essentially. And that's where we stopped, part one.
Yeah. The part one ended off with him joining
the
Fremen. Yeah.
The what do you call them? What did you say? Locals?
Yeah, locals.
Yeah. So he joined like the locals.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of the story, in terms of like its relatability, it reminded me a lot of Lawrence of Arabia. So there's this like old scene.
Yeah. I've heard that.
So basically, it's like well, Jason Momoa's character reminded me of Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
So basically, he goes and he really likes the culture.
Yeah.
Because of like what they stand for, and he's like amazed by, their lifestyle.
Yeah, his respect for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like this movie touched up on like a lot of stuff that came before, and it did lay the foundation for what was to come next. Because you were saying that Star Wars got influenced by Dune.
Yeah, like the books. There's a variety of books for Dune, and I feel you can see some of the influences in a lot of the sci-fi to come after.
Yeah, totally. Right. So this is like what was that movie what was that book that I read? The cyberpunk one that influenced cyberpunk. It was the first cyberpunk book.
Right.
I forgot what it was called though.
I don't remember that.
Anyways, so like there are these pivotal necromancer, I think.
Maybe.
Neuromancer.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think it's called Neuromancer.
Right.
So there are these certain like pivotal pieces of lore that set the foundation for what was to come after it. So like Dune set the foundation for Star Wars because they had like the voice, which is like the Force. So you're able to manipulate other people. And Tatooine kind of reminded me of Arrakis.
Yeah. Even with Tatooine, like I was thinking about that too. It's like to them, like Skywalkers came from that.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A desert-stricken planet.
True. Yeah.
And
just like this guy
who becomes like that's the prophecies of him.
Yeah.
To become king and stuff like that, to lead the people.
All right, so now that we've set the foundation, we talked about it as a movie, let's go over the philosophy, which is like the fascinating part of this. So I think that this movie, it's sort of like the new Matrix. Like if you were a kid now and you watch this, it's kind of like, oh, this is the Matrix for you guys.
Right.
But like the Matrix, it's still hard to say because the Matrix is about like the mind. Right. And like how our reality is based upon what we perceive. Right. Like that line from Morpheus where it's like, what's real is just electrical signals in your brain. So it's not really into that level, but it's like they're pumping you with so much philosophy in here that I feel like it's going to influence future generations in like a more esoteric way. Right. Do you feel that too?
Yeah, I think if it is that big, it will have an influence on people.
So like the things that, like I put this movie up there with like The Matrix or like Doctor Strange or because Doctor Strange talked about like mind stuff too.
Yeah.
Right. But it was more, Doctor Strange is more relatable to like psychedelics. When I watched it, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a psychedelic movie.
Very much so.
Right. Whereas this one's more about like belief.
Yeah.
And like you said it, prophecy, right? So like, and determinism, like is what you believe to happen going to come to pass? Yes or no? Right. So the main character is stricken with all of these visions of the future, right? And then he's believed by many to be the prophet, the Messiah.
Yeah, the Messiah. Yeah.
So they keep bringing up, who he is, like the Masonic figure. They're like, oh, this is the guy, right? But he doesn't believe himself to be the one. Yeah. Right? Sort of like Neo again. It's like, you're the one. You're not. You're like fighting with this identity that the world has for you versus your own identity. Right. And the thing that was really fascinating about this movie is that he had like a lot of visions that some came to pass and some didn't. So it's like, what does that mean about our lives and like free will and determinism and cause and effect? And I think that was a huge part of like what this movie will influence people for going forward. It's like, what weight does my decision have on the rest of my life?
Yeah. I was watching an older interview of a writer of the book, and like he was talking about one of the, I guess, a reader had written in, where I think this is what he was trying to do, was mainly influence people to make their own decisions in the world.
Oh, interesting.
Because the letter he got is,
I didn't see that, so I'm like spot on. Then I'm like, this is exactly what I felt.
Yeah, and that's his job, which is like, because the reader underlined the word make. I make my world, kind of thing.
Okay. So I was telling you this morning, and then we were getting into it, but that kind of made you super late for it. So we'll just get back into it here. So I'm taking this course right now with Adele Tevlin, and she was talking, like, in this last class. I won't get into it too much because, like, it's her body of work, but like, she was talking about how thoughts are the first layer of reality. And that really stuck with me, because it's like, all things in this world were created by an idea. Like, you have your iPhone because of an idea. You have a car because of an idea. We have these houses because of an idea. So before it becomes a tangible thing in reality, it has to become a thought. And then if you can feel that thought in your body, like you like, it's so real to you, then you're just going to make it happen. Right. And I think that's really the underlying message of Dune. It's like, he has all these thoughts, even the battle at the end when he killed the guy, spoiler alert, he killed the other guy, but he envisioned that guy was going to help him. So he had all these visions, but then he chose to kill him. And then his decision sparked a different reality. So it's like, his first layer was thought. He felt it in his body, and then he made the choice. And I don't.
And then you have to deal with the consequences of your,
because now he doesn't have that teacher anymore, because that guy's dead.
Yeah, that's why he was trying to fight. No, he didn't want to kill him. Right. But then the fight only ends if someone has to die.
Right. Totally. So Yeah. So I think, all right. So let's deconstruct determinism first, and then we'll deconstruct other philosophical parts, but because this is the main one. So, like, do we have... All right, no, okay. So, if you look at something objectively, you're able to make a judgment call on it. That's what visualization is, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know that so idealistic input doesn't always equal the intended output, right? So like, if I want to make a lot of money, right, I'm like, I just need to be a good person. That's idealistic input. If I'm just a good person, I should have more money, right? But it's actually correct input equals correct output. So like, if I work on selling my product, I will have more money, right? Because like, evil people make money too, right? So like, if you look at it objectively, which what he was trying to do, that's what I kind of felt during like the battle, when he was like envisioning all this, like, how am I going to take this? It's like, he was looking at it objectively, but again, it doesn't, it's not the outcome that you want. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, he's like, all right, so his visions are, I believe, related to like objective analysis, but they don't, it's so hard to explain. It's like, all right, so okay, I believe I believe that visions are real. So that's the first part. Okay. So I believe you can have premonitions like the guy was having. Sure. Right. Maybe not to the level of like what he was doing. Like, you can't see the girl. You can't see Zendaya in a dream.
Right.
But you know that somebody will help you when you go to this planet, you know? And then are we fitting our vision to our reality?
Right. Which one is leading us?
Yes. Is it like, it's so hard. It's hard to explain because it's like.
Are you being led by your visions?
Yes. Or is your vision leading you, or is like the prominent, like, is he really the Messiah?
Or are you doing the things that are leading up to the visions?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's like the chicken and the egg, like the scene where the lady in the Matrix, she's like, don't worry about the vase, and then she breaks the vase, and then she's like, would you have broken the vase if I hadn't said anything? So it's like, what comes first? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like you have like two parallel realities at the same time, and it's like, are they in sync? You know? And I feel like they're making a judgment call that you have free will and choice. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I feel like on the higher level, you don't have free will and choice because it was going to play out the way it was going to play out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like, as murky as this sounds, that's how murky this movie is. Like, you know what I mean? It's
the
like,
philosophy is very in depth. Like,
yeah.
Because
is he the Messiah or is he not the Messiah?
That's the question that was
right. It's like all of the things were fitting it. Just like he could see all the things that were going to happen, but is he really it? Like, do you walk into your role, or is the role thrust upon you? Yeah.
I think why it's murky is because that's kind of how life sometimes works. Because things happen around you that you can't control, that end up affecting you.
Yes. Okay.
Right. But there are certain things you can control, as in some of your decisions you do make.
Yes.
Of your own. Right.
Yes.
That also pushes you forward. That's why it's a murky thing. Where
yes. Yeah. It's like if if time was linear, then we would have. It's so hard. I can see it in my head, but I just can't like articulate it.
There's some words we don't have in English language.
Yeah. So basically, like, if time was linear, it would be almost like we would have free will because we could make that choice. Like, it would be, we wouldn't be able to have premonitions. But the reason why time is not linear is because we can have premonitions that can come to pass. So it's like you can almost jump into the future in your mind, which is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I truly believe in that. I believe like you can have visions of the future, but which one is the right one?
Right.
You'll never know until it happens.
Right.
But like if you jump out meta wise, like if you jump out like on the whole, cause and effect, there is no free will because this caused this. That's the definition of determinism.
Right.
The definition of determinism is something caused something, and that that cascading effect carries out forward. It's like ripples in a pond, right? But like what we're trying to do as humans with our prefrontal cortex is trying to like analyze what's going to happen before it happens. And I feel like we can do that, but there's so much analysis that needs to be made. It's all right. It's sort of like this.
I think it's like this too. It's are you led by your instincts?
I was about to say, okay, totally. I wrote an article about this. So like, I believe that instincts are how you can tell what the future is. That's what I believe visions are.
Yeah, okay.
It's like your brain cannot comprehend all of the variables that are going on in life. Because in order to calculate exactly what's going to happen on a meta level, like I said, like the ripples in a pond, in order to call it precisely, your brain cannot possibly input all the data. But what it can do is it can run that calculation subconsciously. And that's what intuition is. You just feel like something is correct. I just need to follow my instincts, like in this way.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's kind of what this movie was like, you know, like for the guy, it was like, he's battling his logical brain and his intuitive brain, you know?
Yeah.
Like the perfect one was the fight scene. That was the best example in the whole movie, where like he went 1-on-1 with the guy. The whole movie he was envisioning that guy was going to help him.
Yeah.
He envisioned like, okay, this guy's going to stab me here, and then then we're going to somehow become friends. But then he chose to kill him.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he didn't feel with his instincts. He didn't know that he was going to choose in that moment to kill him. He thought logically, okay, I'm going to let this guy stab me because that's how it's going to play out. And then he's going to help me.
Yeah.
That's what he envisioned.
Yeah.
Logically, he envisioned that. But intuitively, instinctively, if he had just like listened to his intuition, he would have been like, no, I'm going to be too afraid to let this guy stab me. I'm going to kill him. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the double reality we're all playing with.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I think Dune for the future generation is going to set that foundation and make us all question like, what is intuition? What is fate?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It kept getting deeper and deeper in the philosophy.
Yeah.
As you go through the movie, right? Like the simplistic philosophy stuff is in the beginning, where it's like dealing with pain. Overcoming pain.
True.
That was the simplistic first step kind of thing.
Okay, so you know what's really interesting? So when he was able to see the visions, right? And then okay, so in order to see those visions, in order to use your instincts, you have to be able to quiet the mind. Because the mind, this is like real life. I'm not talking about the movie. Like this is how you do it in real life. Right. So that's why meditation is so important. Yeah. Because meditation is literally just learning how to quiet the talking mind, right? And if you read any spiritual text, you're going to say something?
Yeah, the line is... like the famous line, fear is the mind killer.
I was about to say, yes, that's what I was going to go for. Okay. That's what I was going to go for. So, yes. So you need to learn how to quiet the mind in order to run with your instincts, right? You know what you have to do, but it's hard to do that thing. Subjective bias gets in the way when your mind is talking. You know, just like him, he was like, no, I'm just going to let this guy stab me and then I'm going to become friends with him, blah, blah, blah. But then it turned out, no, fear overcame him. He ended up killing him, right? So he chose that path. He seemingly chose, because I don't believe in choice, on like a grand scale. So with that, if you learn how to quiet the mind, then subjective bias... If you learn how to quiet the mind through meditation, subjective bias won't get in the way. And that's why she kept saying, fear is the mind killer. She just kept repeating that to herself because she knew too. Yeah. In order to pass through this trial, I need to hush the mind, because the mind is great. Everyone that's like, oh, I hate the mind, blah, blah, blah. The fact is, like, you wouldn't be here without the mind. Yeah. Like, it's so silly to me when like yogis and spiritual people are like, kill the mind is your enemy. It's like, no, it's not. It's like, it's just used incorrectly. You just don't know how to use the mind in the proper way. Right. Your fear, which is so important, is because your fear was there for like survival. Yeah. We needed that in order to be like, do you think the lion's going to come and kill me at night? Like, if you didn't have that instinct, we'd all be dead. Yeah. Like, literally, fear is what got us to this point. Yeah. That the mind is what got us to this point. Right. But now that
there was a reason, right? So there's, in evolutionary wise, there's a reason for why fear exists, right? Yes. In the natural world is to protect us from these animals and things like that, to keep us alive. Yes. But now that we're not in that kind of world, we still have the remnants of our evolution of fear, but it's used against us in a way now.
And now little things seem very big. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this person cut me off in traffic. Oh, screw you, bro. Blah, 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 blah. You get so angry.
Yeah.
Right. Because like you perceive that as such a giant threat, but it's like, okay, whatever. Like that's not a big thing. Or like you get like a bad email from someone. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's like, okay, who cares, bro?
Yeah.
It's just like that's really not going to kill me. Right. But this instinct inside of us is like, it was built up because of actual death, and it's just persisted over time. So now in an evolved, in quote unquote enlightened society, we'd have a better ability to manage this thought process. And I was saying to you this morning that I'm going to get this girl's book, but she was on Joe Rogan recently, and she talked about how it's so important for us to learn how to manage our mind, like how to quiet it, how to like use it when necessary. It's a tool. Buddha said it. The mind is a tool. Yeah. For when we need it. It's super important. And then Joe Rogan's like, can you believe we made it to 2021 and this is not a daily practice for people? People don't realize that they have a mind. Like even in this like course that I'm taking, like I can see people like, you don't know you have a mind. Right. And that's why I like Adele, because I was like, I like told her she's like a real bodhisattva, because she knows that people are suffering with their mind. And like what a bodhisattva does is they, instead of like selfishly just pursuing their own enlightenment, their own nirvana, they like make it their mission to teach other people that they have a mind. You know, it takes a special kind of person, because you have to deal with a lot of problems, you know, like, oh, I hate this. Right. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. That's why not everyone's a bodhisattva. Right. Most people who like achieve that state of like, I have a mind, they're like, okay, I'm just going to make my life amazing, because it's my life. You know, I don't care about anyone else. But anyways, as it relates to Dune, I really believe that this is a philosophical movie about mind control, you know? His visions, the voice. What is the voice? The voice is like charisma. Like we were saying this morning, right? Yeah. Like Steve Jobs had the voice.
Yeah. There's certain people that you just, who know how to talk to you, that you just
like melt. You're like, okay, yeah, totally. I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll listen to you forever. Like,
right. But if you watch like the movie, it's like, get me that cup of water. Yeah. You know, it's very, that's why again, it's like, I really do believe these things are real. Having studied them and like really like gone in depth into that world, because this is really just Eastern practices. Like everything that's in this movie is like, they've known like meditation came from India. Like it's a thing there, you know. It's like that's what I find interesting about this movie too, because at the time that it came out, I'm pretty sure that's when the East was making a giant rise in the West, right? So all these people got so inspired by Eastern practices that they put them in their movies. You know, like even I was saying to you earlier this morning that the reason why they cut themselves, the Fremen, when they pull out their blade, it's a samurai tradition. Right. If you pull out your sword and it doesn't taste blood, you can't put it back in the sheath. So they cut themselves. Like literally, samurai would do this back in the day. Right. It's kind of like intense, but like they would cut themselves if they drew their sword and there was no enemy.
I didn't know that till you told me that. It's really interesting to see these little things, because they seem foreign. Like it was foreign to me. It's like, well, what was that?
Yeah, like, well, yeah,
but it's not foreign in the sense that we have been doing this.
We have been doing it. Again, that's why it's like, there's so much to unpack in this movie that you don't even know why you're gravitating towards it. So for example, like you asked me like after the movie, what did my sister and your brother think? And I was like, they loved it, but they didn't know why they loved it. And I was like, yeah, because it's like when you watch The Matrix, you know there's something here. There's substance. Yeah. You know, but you're like, but now you have to spend the rest of your life deconstructing that substance. Yeah. Right. And having been being somebody who's like gone down the path of deconstruction, I can see exactly what they're putting in this movie. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're integrating these philosophies into a movie now.
Yeah, I think that's why it's great in the general concept, but then there's so much more to it that now it's up to you to decide how in depth you want to go.
Star Wars did the exact same thing, and I think that's another influence. We're saying like Dune influenced Star Wars. I think not just in the superficial. I think philosophical and the substance. Because Star Wars is based on Buddhism and samurai culture. That's what the Jedi are. Yeah. So it's like, it's not even yoga, like what the Jedi did. It was like straight Buddhism. Like the way they managed their mind was all Buddhist tactics. And then like their warrior code was samurai philosophy. And like George Lucas admitted that he based the Jedi off of Mahayana Buddhism and samurai.
Right.
So it's just like Dune. It's like I can see where you're like pulling these things from.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see, because it seems like that these Eastern things that, like, you know, it's stuff I've seen growing up with, right? Mm-hmm. But to affect the Western audience, or maybe now more like the world, you need to put it in a world of sci-fi.
Yeah.
To
and you know what it is too?
Easily understand it.
And not even just easily understand. Yes, easily
like
understand
easy
it.
To like take it in.
Yeah, because if you just like shoved it down people's throats, they'd be like, "No, I'm not Buddhist. Sorry." You know, like my mom, right? She's like super Catholic, but if I like present a Buddhist philosophy, she's like, "I'm not Buddhist, sorry." And I'm like, "Okay, but it's the freaking the foundation." Like, but if you do it in a movie, it's like, "Oh, that's cool," you know?
Right.
And like that, I feel is the genius of Dune. In just like movies like Doctor Strange, The Matrix.
Yeah, it's because these principles are human, right? Like they're
it's called perennial wisdom.
Right. Okay.
So perennial means like throughout time.
Yeah.
And then wisdom means wisdom.
Right. So like, it's just in a story, it's more easier to grasp, because then when we put labels on it, sometimes we easily reject just because of the label.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know that I don't remember the exact phrasing for it, but Joseph Campbell was talking about, do you know who Joseph Campbell is? In mythology, he like specializes in lore.
Okay.
Like the hero's journey.
I know the name. I just...
You've heard of the hero's journey?
I think so. Like vaguely something is there.
So basically like every story follows the exact same principle, which is it's the evolution of a human being into their perfected self, which is the hero's journey.
Right.
And like literally every story follows that arc, right? Because it's like quintessential to like what we are as human beings. We all want to evolve into this perfected being. But what he said was that within the story of like the dragon, you know, the dragon that protects the treasure, and then the knight comes to like slay the dragon. Yeah. That basic story is about self-discovery, right?
Right.
But again, you can't tell people like, hey, just discover yourself.
Yeah.
You know, blah, blah, blah. You have to present it in a story that people will gravitate towards, like The Alchemist, right? It's a story about a person who, what the alchemist is, he has like visions of going to the pyramids, and then he stops at nothing to get to those pyramids. Right.
It reminds me as a kid, just like reading these books. There's a story to it, but then at the end, the motto of
the moral of the story.
The moral of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's...
And Dune totally has that.
Yeah.
Like the thing about Dune too is like it had a lot of morals, but also talked about like global economics.
Yeah. That's, I think, there was a lot of things in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Because
there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. I mean, it's the world, right? Like there's so many things happening around us, right? There's the economy still going on. We can talk about these philosophy stuff, but the economy is still real. You know,
yes.
Like all these things are also real as well.
Yeah. And they have to, you were just a part of like a bigger machine. And that's kind of what they showed in Dune as well. Yeah. Where it's like, you have this boy who's going with these like visualization struggles, but the real story here is about spice. That's all it is. It's really just about like who's going to manage the spice.
It's about spice. That's true. That's very much true.
Like,
the only reason this all exists is because of spice.
Right? But like you have this like tale of an individual who's trying to perfect their actualized self. Yeah. And, you know, it's like a small story. You're a cog in the machine because really it's all about the empire trying to generate spice to sell it and continue their galactic exploration. Yeah. But we forget about that. We're all mesmerized by the story of a son. Yeah. Paul, who like is trying to, you know, deal with his prophetic life. Is he the Messiah?
The supposed Messiah. Yeah.
Right. But that's like life. That's again, so much to unpack. That's why I feel like people who watch this movie at this age, at like a very young age during their like pivotal times, like 13 or whatever, like 20 years from now, when they're 33, they're going to be like dude, remember Dune? When Dune was blowing my mind, man, you know?
Yeah.
But I wonder what, all right, you know, during the Matrix, and I always call us like Matrix babies. So us being Matrix babies taught us to question reality, right? I wonder what Dune will do for this generation. It's like, how do I work with my mind?
Maybe it's more take control of your reality.
Take control of your reality. Yeah, maybe that's the new. Maybe they, you know, actually that totally makes sense, because like, why are we doing all this inclusivity thing right now? We are approaching a time where, I mean, they did say it too. It's like the age of Aquarius, the Enlightenment period. We're about to hit it, and it's like, yeah, take control of your reality. What would a world look like if people managed their minds? You know, don't get upset at the littlest thing. Realize that global economics is something that's going on. Realize the good and bad about everything in society, you know? Like, would there be less hate? Would we, I don't know, work together for like common good? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I feel like maybe this will set the foundation for more enlightened society to come. Enlightened being, you realize that you have this thing called a mind that's affecting you. Yeah. Like, how many people are going to repeat like fear is the mind killer? You know what I mean? But that's so important to know. Yeah. You know, just like how we had the Matrix, like, what is real? Yeah. Real is just electrical signals in your brain. Like, that was like iconic to us. We just kept repeating that. It's true. It's like, what is reality? Made us question it. But now it's like, now the new mantra going forward will be fear is the mind killer. Yeah. Anything else in relation to that?
I think just, even what it seems like we've talked a lot of stuff, but we're just only hitting the surface of this thing.
True.
Like, there's so much
more to unpack.
Each time you watch this movie, there's probably more to learn, and it's just part one.
Yeah, that's true. One thing on a more superficial level that I want to bring up was, I really appreciate the Filipino fighting arts that they brought into the movie. So I'll put that in there. The salute that he did, remember, you know, like where they do the heart in the head? Yeah. That's a Eskrima salute, a Filipino. And then even the way they were fighting with the knives, that's like a style called Balintawak, where it's like very in-close fighting, and you do like a lot of forearm trapping. Right. I noticed, I was like, okay, I see what you guys are doing. So again, it's like an Eastern practice that they put in there. Do you think, you were saying actually that, explain the witches thing. Because I was going to go into the witches, but you were saying that the witches are, you saw something or you watched something about how the witches are in...
I don't want to say witches, let's say nuns or... what's another word for them? Anyways...
Mages?
Sure, or they're called Jesuits, anyways, I think, in the movie.
They're actually called Jesuits? That's like Jewish. That means like Jesus believers.
Oh, is it Jesuits or something?
No, I don't think it's Jesuits, bro.
Not Jesuits.
Jesuits mean that you're
it was with the J. Believer. It was with the J, not Jesuits, I think. It was like...
Gypsies? It's a negative term now. You can't use that, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Is that right?
Are you Googling what they're called?
Yeah. Let's see.
I feel like that beginning part was so murky, but it's so hard to talk about. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, that beginning part where you're trying to explain time was very murky. It's like, it's just so hard to explain that, like, there's different layers. I think,
you
reality.
have to come at, like, again,
you kind of have to understand first thing you have to understand is that determinism, you know, like the ripples in the pond, and then the next thing you have to understand is like visualization. Like, there's just so much in that.
It's Bene Gesserit.
What?
Bene Gesserit.
Okay. It's not Jesuit, bro.
Yeah, it was Gesserit. Is very close. All right.
Okay.
It's just something
when you said Jesuit the first time, I'm like, that's Jesus, bro. Like, literally, that's what it means. Jesuit, yeah. People who believe in Jesus.
Right. So these nuns anyways,
let's call them
witches.
Let's call them witches, because that's cool, bro.
Well, in some ways, yeah, I guess that they were there. they seem to be more connected with the.
Wait. Stop. Talk about the AI thing, because that will lead into the witches. How come the witches came to be?
Okay, well, the little that I read about it, which was that the reason in the movie, or in Dune, you don't see anything about AI, is that there was a fight or a war between AI and humans in the past.
Which is sick.
Which is...
Because we're coming to this point right now.
Yeah, and in which, where the humans won, and it was the new human revolution, and it was banned to do AI ever again.
And that banning of AI made us detach from our technological self and focus on our human nature and the natural abilities that we have as human beings.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of natural abilities we have as human beings, we'll get back into the witches in a second, but this is like basically associated with witches, the witches in the movie. So me personally am extremely fascinated by our capabilities as human beings. Like, we're so obsessed with technology, but that obsession makes us weak. Not weak like physically. Well, it does make us weak physically, but in terms of like our connection with ourselves. Okay. So for example, withstanding the cold, right? Wim Hof showed us all how to manage cold exposure through breathing. Right. And I took that training too. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I didn't know that I had this ability to heat myself up. Right. And then meditation. I didn't know how to build this ability to quiet the mind. And then jujitsu. I didn't know I had this ability to fight other people. And then teaching. I didn't know I had this ability to communicate or like act with empathy. And you know what I mean? Like these are all intangible soft skills that we're losing as a society in place of AI. Like, think about it. We don't even need to be physically, well, I mean, you go to work still, but like I'm doing all of my meetings through Zoom. It's like we have no physical interaction. I can't even read body cues.
Yeah, we lose a lot when we do that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why the battle between AI and humans was so significant, because when humans won out over AI, then it allowed them to focus on their innate human abilities, which is like what the visions are, what the voice is, you know, like these soft skills, you know?
Right.
And that's what the witches are. And that's why I'm so fascinated by them, you know? Another thing is like, what's happening right. All right. So there's two things. There's two trials you can go through in reality and what he went through in the movie. So the first trial was the pain trial. So they put his hand in the box and they're like, don't remove your hand or you'll die. So that was their first test. Right. And if you can overcome the sensation of pain and override it, then you are worthy. Right. We can all do this. Like in Africa, when I saw that, I was like, okay, you're doing the African thing. So like in Africa, they have fire ants inside a bag. Have you heard of this?
I've heard about it.
Right. So there's like, they put fire ants in a bag, and then in order to go from like boy to man, which is another thing we've lost in society, which is like our, what do you call that? Our rites of passage, our rituals. We don't do this anymore. In Western society, we don't have any rituals like to signify you as a boy and a man. It's just like, or like a youth and an adult, you know, just to be inclusive. We don't have it anymore. You're 18 or you're an adult now. There's nothing that's like you have to show your worth.
Right. Nothing to prove that you're an actual adult.
Yeah. Or you're capable of making decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So like what they would do in Africa is they'd have these fire ants in a bag and you put your hand in there, and I think it's like 12 hours. And like you have to, it's crazy. And you're just being bitten and you have to not scream for that 12 hours. Something crazy like that. And you can't pull your hand out. If you pull your hand out, you're not a man. You're considered not a man in their tribe. And not a warrior. Right. So they put that in there. Another thing that we're coming up against, and I'm so fascinated by this too, because the mind is so powerful, is like psychedelics. Like you can also do the exact same thing by forcing someone to do high doses of psychedelics, because what will come up in your subconscious is like, you got to battle that.
Right.
When you're under the influence, there's nothing there except you and your mind. But can you overcome your mind, or is your mind going to crack?
Right.
That's also why people are like, if you do psychedelics too early, or like you're in a bad state, you can have your mind crack, and then for the rest of your life, you're like,
it could mess up. Yeah,
you're just like, you're gone.
Yeah,
you know, you can literally break a mind. You know, and again, we don't. These are intangible soft skills that we've lost the ability to do.
Yeah,
and that's what Dune's tapping into. It's like, remember this about yourself. You know, what were you saying?
Yeah, like as we are as a bigger and bigger like cities and stuff, we don't have any of these collective tribe stuff that we view them as like old stuff, like that is archaic. We don't need that anymore. Kind of thing. But by doing that, you didn't realize what you're actually losing.
Yes.
From what those lessons were.
Yes. Dude, you know, there's this thing in Western society. So like in Eastern society, it's called filial piety. So you always pay respect to your elders because they've been living longer, you know?
Yeah.
I always do that, which is kind of just how we're grown up.
Yeah.
But in Western society, you know, what do you do with an old person? You're like, you don't know anything anymore. Put him in a home. You know, you're like, what? But they have so much to gift you. They have so much experience, you know? But we do away with that because we don't see it as valuable in terms of progress.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, we're losing that part of humanity to the war of AI. Maybe that's what we're really going through right now. Like, and again, that's what Dune's showing us. It's like you have these untapped abilities that you can get into. But at the end of the day, it's all about economics because it's all about spice. You know, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah. There's so much to it. But again, what's leading the whole thing is
economics. You can't get rid of it. That's why I liked that movie. It's like in Star Wars, there was nothing really about economics. There was, but like the main thing of this movie was spice.
Yeah.
And the spice not only provided economic gain, but it also was their psychedelic. They were high.
Yeah.
Like off of the spice. And their eyes were freaking blue.
Yeah.
You know, because the spice people, you know, and you can kind of see that as like opium too.
Yeah.
In places in the Middle East, just like how they were trying to show it as Arrakis.
Yeah.
It's like there's something to psychedelics that we're starting to get back into it with maps and like the legalization of cannabis, and like mushrooms are slowly becoming legal. Like
it was very much a part of in the sense of humanity's upbringing.
Yes, it really was. It really was. Yeah. It really was. If you look at there are a bunch of theories as to why we evolved as humans, like from monkeys to human. One of the big ones from Terence McKenna.
Apes to humans.
Right. Apes to humans, yeah. One of the big ones was the stoned ape theory, where they believed that, well, I mean, there's like in Sapiens, the book, they talk about how agriculture is really what allowed us to evolve.
Right. Well, I mean, it could be probably a combination of it. Culmination of it all.
So like eating more meat apparently allowed our brains to get bigger. Standing upright is what made us see from a different vantage point. There's so many things.
Yeah, of course.
Like, nothing's in isolation, right?
Yeah.
But a big part of that was psychedelics. We would eat mushrooms, magic mushrooms, and then that would expand your creativity. You know? And when people say like, oh, this will expand your consciousness, what they're really saying is your awareness of what's going on. Like, it's not freaking woo-woo. So I've been down this road, and I'm really interested in merging science with esoteric studies. But like everyone's like, oh, these drugs are or like these psychedelics are consciousness expanders, right? And it's like you hear that, and it makes you think like, oh, I'm just gonna build superpowers in my mind, you know? Like it's no. Like consciousness is like, what are you aware of? That's what conscious means. Yeah. Are you conscious of Like, you can be conscious to anything. Like, for example, are you conscious of your feet right now? You weren't until I said it. You brought your awareness to your feet.
Yeah.
So it's like these psychedelics really just expand your consciousness to become more aware of other things. Mm-hmm. So like as an ape, you know, you take the psychedelic, you're like, what's beyond the ridge? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, I don't know, but do you want to explore it? And then they're going to band together. Oh no, but like, what if we die? Don't worry, the sky god is going to protect us. Mm-hmm. And then you create these lores. You know, like the reason why we've survived for so long is because the sun god has protected us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, it's like we demonize it. Like you were saying how it's been a part of our evolution for so long. Yeah. But if you look at the war on drugs, that's only like 1960, like whenever whenever the war on drugs began, like it's the Ronald Reagan era.
Right. It's been part of us. Only in the recent years
have we demonized it. Yeah. Right.
Very, very recent years.
Look at all the cultures like that use it. Like, I forgot what they said.
But even these are specific for psychedelics, but like we still do drugs in the sense of
pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, no. Like
caffeine.
Yeah, there's like we're still doing things, totally. But it's not giving us the same output. But why are we still doing those things? Is because we're still connected.
Because it's not impeding your productivity.
Yeah,
that's really what it is.
Right.
Because if you're like super high, you can't be super productive. Mm-hmm, Some people can be, but it doesn't work. Yeah. For some of us, it's just like, I don't even know how you guys wake and bake. You guys are tripping, bro. Because like, I'm just gonna be like, no, I don't want to do anything. I just want to think.
Right.
I want to entertain myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Know?
Yeah.
But other substances will make you do other things. Mm-hmm. You know. And again, we're losing that part of ourselves. But I think we're reclaiming it. And I think movies like Dune are what's setting the stage.
So that's
what
I'm saying. Yeah. Right. So exactly. So when we see the detriment to society and our, you know, in a form, it's like wasting our money on this drug war, right?
Yeah.
Where that shift is happening again, coming back to where it was in for instance, for the AI and humans war, then realizing, wait,
this was the wrong path.
Yeah,
totally. You know, like in some ways, because of COVID, we've sped up our necessity and our reliance on AI.
Yeah.
You know, with Zoom, we always bring back to that. And it's like, it's great. I've always wanted that.
As a productive tool.
As a productive tool, yes. But we're losing our humanity, just like AI. It's a productive tool.
Yeah.
But we're losing that ability with it. You even see it now. It's like,
it's at the rate of change. We're doing it so fast.
Yeah, we were doing it so fast. I was gonna bring this example. All right, if you listen to this, thank you so much for listening to it. I'm gonna air a little dirty laundry, not dirty laundry, but like one thing that I found so fascinating for myself. If you're listening to this, great. So I realized I can't wrestle my cousins anymore. I can't do jujitsu. When we were younger, I used to always just wrestle them, right? But now I just feel like I'm just beating you guys up, you know, because like you lost. I literally watched you lose that side of yourself as you grew older because you became so reliant on entertainment. You became so reliant on your computer, on your like watching the screen. So now any physical altercation is like, bro, why are you hurting me, bro? You know, it's like, what? You literally lost your humanity. You know what I'm saying? To the point that all we were doing was just being like, let's do some push-ups, something physical. I was like, I cannot push you to wrestle anymore. That's going to be too much for you. So let's try something gentle. Let's just do some push-ups. And like, this person began crying. And I was like, wow, that, like, obviously, like, maybe there's some psychological thing. There's like, we don't know what trauma they've been through, but you lost your humanity at that point. I was like, it was so salient to me. It's like, you've lost connection with your physical body so much that connecting with it through a simple exercise like push-ups is going to make you psychologically break down.
Right.
That's the war on AI. That's the Dune war on AI. Like we've literally lost that part of ourselves, about the desire to use your physical, to find, not even use it, to find more out about your physical body. It's gone now.
Yeah, we're more too reliant on technology, AI, in that sense.
Like, why do I need to? This is actually super fascinating. So, like, when we were in university, another dirty laundry one. If you listen to this, you are awesome. Thank you for listening. So, no, because these are great examples. I'm just
sure.
I never explicitly say, like, if you hear this, you know who you're talking, who you are,
right? Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like say who you are. So, we were in university, and this person was playing Sims all the time. You know the story, and like, but that's where we are now in society. It's like, why would I spend my time leveling up my real self when it's easier when I get the exact same dopamine hit to level up my intangible digital self?
Mm-hmm.
And I find that, again, that's the loss of humanity. It's like I literally watch this person make their sim read a book. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a progress bar on top. And this person was just waiting for the progress bar to fill up. Mm. What were they doing in that time? Watching the progress bar fill up. I kid you not. Was literally just sitting there, just waiting for the progress bar to fill. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I asked them, why don't you read? I literally asked them, why don't you read the book so you can level up? Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh no, so I'm playing a game. They couldn't see it, the connection.
Right.
You know? Maybe that's the real lesson of Dune. To reconnect with humanity. Mm-hmm. And global economics always wins.
I mean, that's the underlying thing that will always be moving on.
You're right. But like, in terms of the main characters of the story, I think that's what the witches did in the movie. Like, the epitome of the witch is just somebody who's constantly hacked away at their human element to the point of
basically they are
they're masters.
Yeah, they know what they were doing. They were doing was trying to create this person who's going to bring change.
Oh, you're talking about a different layer, though. Like, you're talking about the storyline now.
No. But I'm saying that that person that bringing the change is the one who's going to shift everyone's mind, kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's what I mean. Like, they were laying in the story sense, they were laying the plays or whatever.
Okay, so you didn't explain this yet, but you explained to me offline, but you didn't say it on the podcast.
So so the witches are basically, they're the ones who are leading the story.
Yes.
And to get to a certain outcome, because they want, or what they need was they're trying to create the Messiah to shift humanity in a certain direction.
Yes.
So
the witches are a part of every
empire. They're involved in all families,
kingdoms, or
all kingdoms, and maybe they are the empire, or they're controlling the empire.
Right.
We don't know all that stuff yet, but because
their prime directive was to create this Messiah figure.
Yeah.
Who will bring about balance to the Force.
Exactly that. Essentially, exactly, yeah.
Now you see how Dune influenced Star Wars. Yeah.
Or like creating the Neo.
Yeah, or creating the Neo. Yeah, totally. But then it begs the question, is the Messiah real? Or are you fitting into the Messiah's shoes? It goes back to the very first thing we talked about. That's determinism or choice.
Exactly. Like, and that is Paul's decision. Paul's decisions.
Like, it's his way to walk.
Yeah.
It's like
that him knowing that is the possible Messiah.
Because there was a shift in the movie. Remember in the beginning, they were like, the witch was like, we told you not to birth a son or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Paul was so mad that when he realized that he was being played in this way, not played, but he was constructed for a purpose.
Yeah. Or built.
Built. Is that, yes. Yes, built. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't want to think about like robots. So he was like...
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
He was set up.
Yeah.
In this way. Like, they were trying to make all the pieces correct.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a shift in the movie when he lost his entire kingdom and he was like, I can be the Messiah figure. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, let me lead your people. I can bring you to the promised land. Mm-hmm. So the question is he the real Messiah or did he just step into the Messiah shoes?
Right.
And that's basically all of our lives. We have our ideal self and our actual self. Mm-hmm. Our actual self is who we are now. And then we have the ideal self of who we want to become in the future. Do you step into those shoes or not?
Right.
And will it work out if you do step into those shoes? What if Paul dies?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, he wasn't the one. We'll wait for another 1,000 years. But it's almost like, it's like playing the lottery. You know, this is kind of what you could analogize it to. It's like every time the lottery plays, you have your exact set numbers and you're just waiting for the perfect moment when all of your numbers align.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the witches were doing. They were like, let's just set everything up and just wait for the Messiah to arrive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Paul's quickly figuring out, oh, I could step into this narrative. Mm-hmm. So much in this movie. So do you step into who you want to become? Or do you wait for another life like Neo?
Right.
And if you do step into that, is it going to work out or not? All you can have is faith.
Yeah.
Not hope. Not hope.
No.
You know the story of Pandora's box?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the full story?
No, I don't know the full story.
Okay. So, but you know the story of Pandora's box.
Yeah.
So if you don't know the story of Pandora's box, you listen to this. Basically, this person opens up the box and then all the 7 evils come out into the world. Mm-hmm. But what they don't tell you, unless you keep reading, is the final evil was hope.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because it gives you a false sense of security. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between faith and hope. Hope is like, you're like, oh, I hope it works out. Faith is like, I trust that it'll work out. Mm-hmm. There's a difference. Yeah. There's no like longing. It's just a knowing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's all I got for Dune. Yeah. Connect back to your humanity and decide if you want to become the person you're meant to be. Yeah. Because it won't work if you just sit back and watch it.
Yeah. It comes down to, does someone else make your decisions or do you make your decisions?
Yeah.
In your choices of what you want to do in life.
But on the whole, just like the spice trade, determinism, life was going to play out exactly how it was going to play out.
Yeah.
Economics is always going to be the driver of everything in this world.
Yeah.
But on a micro scale, you can't see it.
Yeah.
So you're playing out this role as a character. But on a macro scale, you'll see that everything is perfectly playing out how it needs to play out.
Yeah. And
that is what the sages of all time knew. And that's what they sought comfort in. I'm literally telling you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm literally telling you the truth. Like, that is where comfort lies in the storm. How can you be the eye of the storm? Like, like a hurricane, right? Yeah. In the center, it's like, there's nothing going on. Just a peace in the center of the storm. Mm-hmm. It's because they know at the end of the day, everything's happening just as it should. Yeah. We're just being caught up in the story as the character. There's this like line in yoga where it's like, we're just watching our lives on a movie screen play out. But we get so caught up in the character, but we don't realize that the movie has already started and ended. It's already written. We're just watching it play out. Yeah.
Right.
It only feels real in the moment until the moment's gone. AKA you're dead. But, okay, wait. So that's why for me, it's so funny. My sister yesterday was like, I was like, oh yeah, like my wrist is hurting from jiu-jitsu, my body's hurting, I get bruises. Like I have this black eye right now, right? Not a big one, but like a small one. And my sister was like, why would you put yourself through that? And I was like, why would I not? Because it's like, this movie's playing out for so long. Mm-hmm. I know that I only have a certain amount of time with this video game character that I've created. So why not maximize the time with my video game character?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why my life a video game. That's for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? I just went on a crazy rant there. But this is really how I see my life, man. This is we're playing a video game. Yeah. Like if you like playing video games with a controller, try playing it with your physical body. That's even crazier.
Yeah, it's called VR.
Yeah, that's what I mean, dude. No, for real. Like, people don't realize this. If you just pretend, I've written so many articles about this. I'm trying to get it out to people. It's just like, if you just think of your life as like a video game, what wouldn't you do in a video game? Mm-hmm. A lot of people like Joe Rogan, he's like, if this were a story, what would the main character want to do? But it's like, yeah, but that's written already. It's like, but it's more like, because if you're watching a movie, you have no part in the movie. You're just enjoying the movie. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, life is the most interactive video game you could play. Mm-hmm. So why not do everything you want to do? Yeah. You know, like you want to go see friggin' Nepal, go do it. You know, you want to, become super jacked, go do it. You know, it's up to you. Yeah. You literally have a video game character. People don't see it though, because they think their lives. They're trapped by their mind.
Everyone's yes, I agree with that. Everyone's at different levels with their mind,
But I can't do it because I'm this.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's something. We're all at different progress levels of the mind. Or
maybe that's what awakeness is. You know, when people are like, "Oh, this person's awake," like they're a Buddha. Mm-hmm. They're awake to the reality of the world, mm-hmm. which is you're playing a video game character, bro. And that time is very finite. Mm-hmm. People think they're going to live forever, Yeah. One of like the most interesting.
Or forever is waiting for you after this, though.
That's another thing too, which is like, that's just indoctrinating. This is like, yeah, that's just mind control, straight up. Like, just be good now so that you can live whatever. Mm-hmm. Delete that story, man. Just like realize that you're a video game character. But I was going to say that this is kind of morbid, but it really propelled me forward in life, is that I always thought I was going to die. Like at like grade 7 going to grade 8, I was like, okay, well, this is the summer I'm going to die. That didn't happen. Grade 8 going to grade 9. Okay, well, I'm just going to die before I hit high school. And then I'm just going to die before I hit university. I'm just going to die before I get a job. And I never died. And I was like, but that fear of death is what forced me to like, okay, well, what do you want to do? You have 1 year left. No, really, like,
yeah, right.
I really think this way. It's kind of weird, but like that imminence, and I think that's why a lot of sages are like meditate on death, because like when you know you're gonna die, if you really know you're gonna die, yeah, then you would live life way differently. Like, why does it take knowing you have like terminal cancer? You're like, you got 2 months to live for you to start living. Why not just do it now? Mm-hmm. Like, why do you need the prognosis? Just pretend like you have the prognosis. Like when I was a kid, right? Like, okay, grade 9, all right, I'm going to die this summer. It didn't happen. You're like, oh my God, all right. And it's probably going to be that next summer. Right. Never happened. Now I'm 33 and I'm like, dude, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you final thought? Go. I was ranting.
No, no, I agree. I think we all had, I don't want to say we all had. We had some notions of that.
Death?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we did.
But then along the way, some of us just thought they would never die.
Yeah, I think at that age also, it's like 33, it's a long way to go. I think that's just...
Yeah. But I feel like if you're
I don't think we're going to reach that.
But I feel like if you have this cemented idea of who you're going to become. So like, I think where people go wrong is when they're like, when I'm X years old, I'm going to have this. I never thought that way.
Yeah.
That's probably why I have the life I do. Like very unstable. But like, I never planned for the future. I always planned for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people who plan for the future believe that they're going to live forever.
Mm.
You know, when I'm 65, I'm going to retire and do this. Like, what? How do you know you're going to make 65? You might die tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not like salient in their brain.
Right.
Because they don't want to see it, you know? Like, speaking of psychedelics and like subconscious problems that arise, one of the things that they say is that people who have come face to face with all their subconscious demons, when they take psychedelics, they're just enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
They're not having any negative trip.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a negative trip is only because you're suppressing there's trauma. Yeah. You're suppressing something you don't want to come up. Mm-hmm. But the problem with psychedelics is they make those things come to the surface.
Right.
But like a real like Zen Buddha or like a, you know, they would just take the trip and be like, "Oh, that's cool. Well, I didn't know I had this sensation."
It's more than heightened
experience of life.
Yeah.
They become like toys.
Yeah.
You know, I want to play with this toy today.
Yeah.
Whereas like people like get so afraid when they're about to taste, like, I don't like losing control. I've heard that so many times. I don't like losing control. It's like, control what? It's like,
that means you're not that means that you're already not in control.
Yeah. It's like you're already afraid that you're gonna lose control. It's like, what's so bad about what's gonna happen? If you accept death, it's like, okay, then if I die today, I die today. It is what it is. It's very scary for a lot of people because they're living for that. When I'm 65, I'm going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Lessons from Dune. We're going to connect back to our human nature. I believe it. All right. Enlightenment is waiting. We've already explained it. It is what it is. All right. Until next time, Vish. I'll see you Sunday when I get back, but no podcast this weekend. But this will be the podcast. This is the podcast. I'll release it like before I leave, so probably tomorrow. Okay. I'll have it all up, which is the Friday. Mm-hmm. All right. Take it easy, Vish.
Yeah. Go watch the movie.
Yeah, totally.
Let's go back to
totally forgot. Just went on a philosophical rant there. Yeah, go watch the movie. It's great. You might watch it with different eyes, and if you want to watch it with different eyes, take a substance, and then you'll listen to this podcast, take a substance, and then watch the movie. You'll be like, dude, because it will be in your subconscious. Yeah. You know, if you listen to this podcast and you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Dude, what? There's this reality. You take the substance, it'll be in your lower level subconscious. When you're watching it, it'll manifest, and you'll see what we're seeing. Yeah. All right. Till next time. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.